Is it recording? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Today we want to talk about methodology. Methodology. Okay. Research methods. We call it research methods.
Yeah.
So the third component of the research report is the research methods. Research methods. So the function of this session is to tell us how you carried out your empirical research. Is to what? Tell how you carried out the empirical research. So the actions that you took to get the work done, that is the overall focus of this. And we say that the research is scientific process, is that not it? So it means that the actions and the inactions of the researcher should be scientific in nature. It has so many dimensions. We have some, we see them as procedures, some we see them as methods, some we see them as design, some we see them as approach, some of them we see them as protocol, some of them we see them as steps, some of them we see them as design, some of them we see them as techniques. So now let's look at how all these things open up to form the research method section. So whenever you are writing any research, the first thing that comes to mind, which most often people do not bring on board, is the research philosophy. Research what?
Philosophy.
Research philosophy. Perhaps you might have heard of the word philosophy before. I'm not the one to teach you all the research philosophies existing. But when we talk about the philosophy, we are talking about how the researcher sees the world. How the researcher sees the world, sees truth, how we are able to measure how we are able to measure reality, how we are able to use our value systems to also influence the measurement of reality, and the methods and tools that we employ to be able to measure reality. So when we are thinking about research philosophy, think about that. Okay. It's the overall thought that regulates how the researcher conducts the research. The overall thoughts that regulates how the researcher conducts the research. If you pick the research philosophy, at least you can talk about 4 things. Etymology, epistemology, is it tomology or logy? You can check. Yeah. You can also have what we call axiology, then the last one, methodology. So if your research is anchored on any philosophy, we expect that when we talk about if you pick that particular philosophy, these things you have to talk about them. What is the etymology of that philosophy? What is the epistemology of the philosophy? What is the physiology of the philosophy? And what is the methodology of what? That particular philosophy. You understand? So, as part of your assignment, I will ask you to go and look out for philosophies in research, especially social science research. Okay, philosophies in what? Social science research. This is very, very relevant. And most instances, if you pick people's research, you don't see them. Masters, do you see people talk about their philosophy? But if it is a PhD, you will require to bring what? Your philosophy. You will require to bring the research philosophy and that really your study. So, epistemology, etymology, zoology, and methodology. I have not done much research about them. But if you read about, you know what they mean. Some of them are measuring how the scientific method that you use to get the data, to measure the reality, the variables. And so that is about the methodology. Some of them are saying that the value system of the researcher influences how he or she approaches the system. Some also say that no, your value should not dictate how you do things in your research. You have to recuse yourself from the research. Don't let your opinion, don't let your subjective biases influence how the research is carried out. And that is what is called. And then, epistemology, what does it mean? I don't know, it's a long time that I researched epistemology. Some of them, what constitutes truth? And one is also about subjective perception about what the truth is. Okay, so it is shared between these ones. So go and read about it.
Epistemology says that the truth out there.
Okay.
That if we follow the scientific process, we can be able to confirm the truth.
Okay.
That's where we get the positivity of philosophy from.
Okay. Now etymology.
Without the subjective.
Okay, no problem. So that is it. So if you really want to arm yourself in the research journey, these things, you must have them in your fingertips. Although I don't have them. I don't want to teach you everything. I want to teach you everything. So that is it. And even for you to read, to be able to know that if you pick any philosophy, you should get these 4 dimensions. It wasn't easy. It wasn't what? Easy. So that is it. And quantitative research. All these things will manifest in quantitative research. If you pick the zoology, for instance, we have what we call the epic and the emic orientation. One says that the researcher must involve himself in subjective opinion must be heard. One says that no, the researcher must recuse himself from it. The methodology, quantitative research, has this prescribed methodology. Probability sampling, sampling biases, make sure that you minimize them, they are all issues out there. Some of them say that we can obtain objective of reality, such that the researcher do not involve himself in the happening of the research context. So that is the epistemology. And then this one talks about where your subjective opinions influence the way you gather data about a particular phenomenon that you are studying. So we have to make sure that all these things you are able to write about it. And I said that we have so many philosophies out there. Go and read about them. Get at least 5 philosophies. The social science, you can write it now. I said you should get at least how many philosophies? 5. Yeah, at least 5 philosophies in social science. And you will do them. So that is it. At the master's level, you will not be required to bring it, but at the PhD level, you will require to bring it. So the next one is what we call research design. Every research must have a plan. And the research design is a plan upon which all the aspects of the research is built. So we see that the research design provides what we call a blueprint. Provides a blueprint to guide the conduct of the study. There are so many different types of research designs out there, but at the basic level, we can talk about the three main research designs that are allowed. And if you choose any of these research designs, they will influence the other aspect of the research process throughout. So if you pick a wrong research design for your research, know that it's going to wrongly influence the other aspect of your research. So what you have to do is that you always try to select the right research design. And this we have at least three of the research designs, which we have to look at them. The first one at the basic level is what we call exploratory research design. The second one is what we call descriptive research design. And then the third one is what we call explanatory research design. Now when you pick any of these research designs, they have strong relationship with your research philosophy. They have strong relationship with your research approach. They have strong relationship with how data is collected, the nature of data that you collected, the instrument that you use, the analytical technique that you use. So that's why I said that if you get the research design wrong, it is going to influence the whole aspect of the entire research, and that will not be okay, or it will be disastrous. So let's look at what we call exploratory research design. To explore means what?
Look at diverse areas of other things.
So we explore when we don't have much information about the subject matter. So when you are doing a research for the first time and you don't have much information about it, you don't know the evolution of events, you don't know the variables, how to measure them and all those things, then you have to explore. So in exploratory research, the end result of exploratory research is to help you to develop what? A theory. And therefore, it aligns strongly with qualitative research. So whenever you are doing qualitative research, then the design is likely to be more exploratory research design. It also means that you will deal with qualitative data, non-numeric data. It also means that you will not have to follow the rigid scientific process of uncovering the truth. You understand? When COVID came, for instance, and you wanted to know the causes of COVID, you think of selecting people based on random sampling. You only go to people who have the problem and start to get the data from them, right? So probability, going by that principle, probability and that exploratory research will not help. So you have to go for maybe purposive or convenience. Is that not it? So some of the scientific protocols will not be followed, mostly when it comes to the exploratory research designs. It also uses unstructured means for data collection. Unstructured means for what? Data collection. Sometimes the sample size will not be adequate. You do not have many sample sizes available. Because the thing is local. It is something that we don't really know much about. So you will not require large sample size to be able to do that kind of study. It relies less on differential statistics. It relies what? Less on what? Differential statistics. We cannot, it is not based on predictive models and all those things. Because it is something that we don't have much information about. So So we cannot base on it to predict things. Okay. So that is the exploratory research. Then we have what we move to descriptives. Descriptives are more likely to align with what we call the quantitative research approach. But the essence is to get a snapshot of events. The essence to get what? A snapshot of events, of things that are happening at a particular point in time. And therefore, you will use maybe a mixed research approach in doing that kind of study. A mixed research approach in doing descriptive. And normally the statistical analysis that they use, they are not differential. They mostly rely on what? Descriptive statistics, mean, standard deviation, mode, percentages, frequency, and all of them, to describe the state of affairs at a particular point in time. They partly follow some of the scientific methods. Okay? They partly follow some of the scientific methods and can exhibit element of both qualitative and what? Quantitative. That is the blend. That is what I said, that they can use what we call a mixed research method. Then, so test of assumptions are quite limited. Test of assumptions are limited at descriptive statistics. Okay? But when we move to the last phase of it, which is the explanatory, is the highest level, and therefore it is mostly purely quantitative in approach. So if you are studying, it's about looking at how changes in a particular variable influence changes in the other. It is quantitative, it is predictive in nature. So explanatory study designs are mostly looking at prediction-based and explanatory-based kind of research. Any research that you are undertaking and it is looking at how changes in one particular variable influence changes in the other variables, then you are more likely to go by what? Explanatory research. So most of the conceptual framework we drew, we saw that we were looking at how changes in one factor or other construct will play in pattern, right? So we are more likely to use what we call explanatory research. They go with quantitative. The type of data that they use is purely quantitative. They follow rigid scientific process or methodology. They follow rigid scientific process. They also make good use of advanced statistical techniques. They make use of what? Advanced statistical techniques, including or particularly differential statistics. Particularly differential statistics. They test assumptions. And the mode of data collection instrument is likely to be more structured. Okay? They use structured means. So structured means or structured instruments to collect their data. So like structured questionnaire, you understand, where you have close-ended questionnaire looking at the body. So it's structured. They are much concerned of issues related to validity and reliability. They are concerned with issues related to validity and reliability. They require relatively large sample size, and most often they require probability sampling techniques. Where you are able to give each element in the population equal chance of selection. So most instances they require probability sampling technique. Okay. So these are the three designs that are available. You can read more on them. I have some research method books that I will make available to you. Then you can read more about them. So once you be able to know your research design, I have to teach you how you write it. Okay. Okay, if you pick any of the things that you are talking about, you have to talk about what it is. So if it is a philosophy, what is the research philosophy? But what particular research philosophy are you talking about? How does it manifest or work in your research? Okay. If you pick any of them, tell us what it is and tell us how it manifests or works under your research.
So do you have to talk about all before you now?
It's a matter of approach. Some of them, some universities will require that you talk about all the existing ones, then you come and settle on the one. But here, you don't do that. You just pick the one that works in your context. Just pick the one that works in your context. And then we talk about it. You tell us what it is and how it manifests. Then the next one is to justify its relevance. This relevance, okay? So you can talk about the advantages of using that particular or the strength of using that particular philosophy or design in your research. But as a mature researcher, there could be some weaknesses. So you can also talk about some criticisms levels against it. Okay. So you can also talk about criticisms that have been leveled against that particular approach or design that you are using. So if you follow these 3 simple steps, you can write it. So when it comes to justification, this is where you have to quote studies that have used it or that are proposing that particular concept or that particular approach or method is working under your context, its relevance. And normally you have to quote current papers, unless it is a seminar paper. We are in 2024 and you are writing your methodology and you are citing research methods that were done in 1842. Really? Things have changed. In the early 1930s or 1990s, for instance, you go and pick the research, the PhD where people did in this country. Even class 5 people, they can do it. Is that not it? I met one prof, said that during their days when they were doing their PhD and masters, they were only using frequency and percentage.
Even their arrangement.
Yes, and standard deviation. That one, everything is done manual. But in our time, what happens? Just click off a button. Everything comes well organized. You can do advanced statistical analysis with these software. So if you are justifying your research methods, you have to justify them based on current developments in that particular context of study. So I don't expect that your research method citation, if you have 1995, 2010, yesterday I removed somebody's work, a person, oh no, it shouldn't be so. 2020, 2021, people are still writing research method books. People are still developing seminar papers on particular aspect of research methods. People might have written only on research philosophies. Current literature is there. People might have written on research designs, current ones. So why do you go and pick 1990s kind of citations and bring them? So at least, at worst, should not be more than 5 years. I think you are good to go. So check your research methodology. You have some of them, 1990, 2010.
2016, 2017.
Still old. Current ones are there. Okay, so that is that. So once you are done with your research design, the next thing you have to come and talk about is your research approach. Research approach. So your research approach is more about measurements than data. It's about measurements and data, and then analysis. Okay? These are three major issues that your research approach will prescribe to you. It will tell us how the variables in the research were measured or are measured. I use were because it is a reported speech when you're writing your research methodology. Unless it is a proposal. If it is a proposal, then you cannot feature text. Other than that, it should be a reported speech, which is in the past. Okay. So it tells us how the variables were measured. Whether you use numeric means to measure them or non-numeric means to measure them. What kind of data did the measurement produce for the variables? Was it quantitative data? Was it qualitative data? Or a mix of both quantitative and qualitative data? Then data analytical techniques that you employ are very, very important. So let's see the alignments here. When you pick exploratory research design, you are likely to go with what we call qualitative research approach. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So qualitative. If you pick descriptive research design, you are more likely to go with what?
Both.
This research approach. And if you pick exploratory, you are likely to go with what? Qualitative. Have you seen why I said that if you get your design wrong, a whole lot of things will go wrong? So in quantitative research, which we are orienting you on or directing you towards, we use numeric data. Data that is in what? Numbers. How do you measure them? Usually most of the items are measured at the interval and also at the ratio level. Most of the items that you're going to deal with in your quantitative, they are at the interval and also at what? Ratio level, especially business-related kind of studies. Those who are doing accounting, those who are doing finance, most of your issues, secondary data are at the ratio level. Dividend, profit, sales, they are all at that level. If you are doing qualitative, you are more likely to have them at the nominal level and also at the ordinal level. And if you are doing mixed, then you are more likely to have a blend of ordinal, nominal, and then interval and what? Ratio. So that is the level of measurement. When it comes to the analytical techniques, for quantitative, you are more likely to use differential statistics, advanced level statistics. For the mixed, you are likely to use descriptives, is that not it? And then for the qualitative, you are more likely to use non-parametric, okay, non-parametric and lesser statistical tools or less statistical tools, lesser statistical tools, because this one advanced with the opposite. The tools are not more advanced. You can use simple descriptives, you can use narrations and all those things to describe, thematic analysis and all those things to describe whatever you found at the qualitative level. Okay. So this is how the three are related. Another important concept that you have to also talk about. So if you also pick the research approach, tell us what approach you are using, right? How does it manifest in your research? Justify its relevance by looking at the strength and then its drawback. You get it? So if you pick the approach with the same format, should follow.
So say, can you add the approach to the design?
Do you think that they are the same?
They are not, but in the guideline, they've not really given room for the approach.
So they are not the same. So separate them. If you bring research approach and you write it well, nobody will say that you should take it off. Separate them. I used to do that. I didn't even know that there were differences between research approach and research design. So when you are saying this, then some of them will be manifesting and you get confused. Until I did further reading and all those things. Okay. Then we also have what we call research paradigm. Research paradigm. Paradigm. Research paradigm. Have you seen it? Okay.
Now you're confused. We mostly confuse the paradigm with the philosophy too. So we end up saying the philosophy is the same as paradigm, so we go for positivism, interpretivism, and then pragmatism.
Okay. Now they talk research. The philosophy is broader. Normally we don't even see in the research. But if people take your research, they read the entire research, look at the methodology, how you are approaching, they will tell you that you are keen to this particular philosophy. But we look at the research paradigm. Here we are talking about the ingraining your philosophy in your research. Trickling down your philosophy into your research. And that is what we call research paradigm. How you bring your philosophy, your broad philosophy as a researcher, into the particular research that you are doing is what we call research paradigm. I have to do a lot of revision about these things. It's a long time that I touched on them. But I've been practicing them, so I can really. And the paradigm, we have at least three. We have the two extremes and the midpoint, is that not it? And they also go in line with the research approaches that you are going to use. Good. So the research design is very, very important. Make sure you get it right. If you get it right, all the other ones will be following. So, research paradigm is look at how the worldview of the researcher manifests in the way the researcher does the research. Not all research, that particular research the researcher is what? Doing. I may be doing this particular research, and maybe my philosophy is more positivism. How do I bring it into the research? Becomes another issue. You understand? But I may be doing other research that my philosophy towards that particular research is more of subjective biases, subjective views, so I'll be more of interpretivism. You understand? So when we are looking at the worldview of the researcher being couched and manifesting in the research that the particular researcher is doing, then we are talking about the paradigm that the researcher is doing. So you can, that's why it's difficult for you to separate the philosophy from the paradigm. So we have three broad paradigms. You have what we call, how did you say?
Positivism. Positivism. Then pragmatism.
You also have construct. Okay. Whenever you think about the research paradigm, think about your research approach, think about your research method, think about your research philosophy. Do you understand? And also think about your methodology. And when you pick your philosophy, think about the etymology, epistemology, physiology, and methodology. Write it down. So when you pick a particular research paradigm, think about your research design, think about your research approach, and also think about your research philosophy. And in the philosophy, the things that might manifest include the epistemology, the etymology, the physiology, and what? The methodology. So if you pick interpretivism, what approach does it go with? I'm talking about research approach. Qualitative. What research design does it go with?
Exploration.
What kind of philosophy? What is the orientation towards epistemology? What is the orientation towards etymology? What is the orientation towards physiology? What is the orientation towards what? Methodology.
So wait, do you have to write about all?
Yes.
No, with the philosophy.
Yes.
So if you are going for qualitative and you are taking interpretivism, which is exploration, so are you supposed to relate it to the four philosophies?
Yes. That is why I said, how does it manifest in your research? It's not just like saying that the epistemology is blah 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 and interpretism is out. How does it manifest in your research? And that's why I'm giving you a clue about the things that you have to think about first. Research approach, research design, and then the main research what? Philosophy. And when you pick the philosophy, look at its etymological stance, look at its epistemological stance, look at the zoological stance and methodological stance. Then you write about them. About the four. And you will have a strongly positioned research paradigm. Okay, so if you pick positivism, which of the research approaches do you think it will go with?
Quantitative.
To go with what? Quantitative. Because positivists believe that there exists scientific truth. There exists truth. Is that not it?
Yeah.
Is that the epistemology? Or is that the etymology?
Epistemology.
There exists what? A truth in scientific, and you can use scientific methods to unravel it. Is that not it?
Yeah.
And then, therefore, the zoology is that it takes what we call the epic approach. The values of the researcher do not influence about the things the researcher is studying. And when it comes to methodology, you have to follow scientific processes. Issues about sample size determination, issues about sampling selection, issues about testing of assumptions, using the right statistical tools. All those things are manifesting in that method. So that is it. The interpretivists believe that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Is that not it?
Yeah.
And so they believe that we don't have objective truth. And what comes as a truth depends on who sees it. And therefore, from a zoological point of view, the subjective biases of the researcher will influence the determination of what constitutes the truth, knowledge of the truth. Okay? And therefore, it doesn't follow rigorous scientific methods. Have you seen how it works? And it will go with qualitative data, and it will also go with exploratory, because the issues that have been discussed are novel. They are not something that people already have much information about. This is how you write your research paradigm. Then pragmatism or interpretivism. Which design do you think it will go with? Pragmatism. Which design do you think it will go with? Descriptives. Okay. And then the approach. Next. Then the zoological, I can take epic and what? Emic. You can take subjective and objectivism about the truth. And can follow some bit of scientific method and some non-scientific method to arrive to the result. That is how you should be able to write it. And all this, you must demonstrate their strength, their relevance. How does it work? Why is it that it is fitting in your study? You should be able to demonstrate that. And you must also tell us the weaknesses theory. okay with that one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is the research paradigm. Okay. So once you be able to tell us about your paradigm, now you can come and tell us about your study area of study. Area of study. Area of study. Some people also say study organization, okay? If you know about area by a particular organization, you can also write about that. Study organization. Which particular organization did you target for your study? Which particular organization did you target for your study? So in area of study, what you have to do, or the things that you have to think about is describing the geographical area and also the industrial area context. Okay, so you describe what? Geographical and also what? Industry, is that not it?
Yes, sir.
Industrial context. These are the two things. Where is the study going to be carried out? And which industry is it focusing on? Simple. Think about these two things. But then, you have to also come and justify why that area, okay? Why? So when we think about why, think about the problem statement, or statement of the problem, okay? You have some issues of the statement of the problem in your area. If you are going to do a study that you cannot find any of the problems that you are raising in that geographical context or in that particular industry, who will give you a listening ear? Your problem must manifest in your geographical context or industrial context. And you have to link the scope of the study to the area. Link the scope of the study to the area. Link the scope of the study to the area of the study. Link the scope. Link the scope. So the one who is doing studies on financial planning, doing financial access to capital, access to finance, and also financial performance of Lance's chemical shops in Kumasi. Do we have problem with those things in Kumasi? That is what we mean. We must be able to demonstrate some of the problems in that particular context. The industry is the pharmaceutical industry. That is explained by the Lance's chemical shop, so you can explain something about them. The location is Kumasi, right? But you have to be able to link the concepts like financial planning by these people, access to capital and their performance, and also some of the problems that are manifested in that particular location. That's all. So that is how we write about your problem statement. So these are the things you have to think about. Don't come and talk about Kumasi is located at something 1 degrees Celsius. The landmass of Kumasi is this, the king of Asante is this, and there are so many people there, their occupation is this. Is that what you are talking about?
Yeah.
What we are interested in is this pharmaceutical industry in what Kumasi, so that is where the narration should focus. So once we talk about the study of the area, then we come and talk about the population. Population. The population is the subject of the study. That is what you are studying about. Is that not it? So you have to come and tell us about the population. To be able to tell us about the population. What are the things that you have to talk about the population? let's make it very easy for ourselves. You have to describe the population. Describe the population. And if you have, so in describing them, you talk about their characteristics, okay? Characteristics of that particular population. Then you have to also talk about the total number. If you have an estimated number of it, of the population, you talk about total number of the population. Total number of the population. These are two critical issues that are there. Describe the population in terms of their characteristics. So the study focuses on licensed chemical shops. Licensed chemical shops by nature are businesses that are blah 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 registered under this blah blah blah. They are mostly like this and you understand? That is it. So you describe them. Then if you have knowledge about number of registered licensed chemical shops, then you talk about them. Within the Kumasi metropolitan area, we have about 5,000 licensed chemical shops. Then you provide the source. So whenever you talk about the total number, what do? You provide what? The source. Provide source. For quantitative studies, mostly it is important that you are able to estimate the total number of population, because since the design is more of explanatory, it will require that you use probability what? Sampling. So if you can not know the total population, it becomes very, very difficult for you. If there are no, the question is, if there are no recognized sampling frame for you to know the total number of population, what do? You can also do your own preliminary analysis and estimate a probable number of target population. You as a researcher can do that. Assuming that you don't have any knowledge about the number of registered chemical shops. So you can decide to compile the list of what? Registered chemical shops or licensed chemical shops in that place. So you go there, Kofi Mensah and Sons Chemical Shop, you write their name and give them number one, Kofi Mensah, number 2, Ishak, number 3, Yesube, number 4, number 5, Yemubu. Yes, you think it's easy?
On the ground.
You can create your own sampling frame for it. But normally, since institutions are required to get registered, you can also go to the sources of business registration. You can get information about the registered. And then that one becomes the source of what? Sampling frame for you.
That's a fee.
Sometimes they will require you to pay a fee. Some of them are also free of charge. But you have to show that for academic purpose, you have to give evidence that shows that you have been required by your school to come to them for that kind of information, and they will make them available to you. So, do you know institutions in Ghana that you can go for information about businesses, since we are all business students now? Ghana Enterprise what? Agency. Yeah, okay. So they keep profile of all the registered businesses across the country. So where else can you also get information? Food and Drugs Authority, or Food and Drugs Authority. If you go there too, you can get some of the list. Where else? GRA, Ghana Revenue what? Authority. Yeah, businesses are also required to also file their taxes. Yeah, if you go to Central Business Unit of District Assemblies to the localities, the businesses that are registered there, you can go there. You can also Ghana Statistical Services. And you can also which one?
GTA.
What is GTA?
Ghana Tourism Authority.
Ghana Tourism Authority. Okay. Then we have the one that deals with Chamber of Commerce, right? Ghana Chamber of Commerce. So if you go there.
And the Pharmacy Council.
Pharmacy Council, you can get some. Okay, you also go to Attorney General's Department, Registrar's General Department, right? They also register businesses, especially companies and all that. If you go to land commissions, to
Land
get.
commission.
So it depends on the area that you are doing. These are all some official sources that you can contact to get information about your total population. Is there any question? Okay, if there are no questions, pause it.